welcome, and welcome to another round of me trying to be a better human being, save the planet from coronavirus, all the bad thoughts, and like improve the society in general. And my method of doing so is typing very fast. So I will be typing for 5 minutes, and then I will try to improve my programming abilities for 25 minutes or so. Um, let's get into it. Not upgrade. Next lesson. Okay, so let's see the result. 439. That's pretty neat. In the land of my yeah, it's very good compared to my well, we can have a look, right? So my my all-time average is below 7%, and we are pushing it all the way down all the time. That's I like. This is for the last 7 days, and for the last 3 days is this, and we are pushing it down, which is really nice, you know, like right now it was 439, which is like really good result. Like I'm improving, you know, like it's like and I take average, right? Because sometimes I do better, sometimes I do worse, you know. It is what it is, man. Come on. $47.92. Okay. So that concludes the typing session, and we will proceed to what the hell is that? There's a lot of things. Not much of the spring.
Comment, just like that, and then I'm going to reload the project. So click on
that we did, yeah, and run it, right? So we will run it. Go. And null pointer exception. Okay. So let's see what his thing does.
Click, and then Maven, and then reload project. There we go. And now I can start the application. And there we go. So we actually connected to our database right here. You can see the logs. So we have Ikari started and then completed using Postgres right here, and everything is looking good. But we don't have any tables yet in our database, and that.
Okay, so mine looks differently. Mine says there's a problem. Error creating Bane with student control. Okay, so that's bad. Why? Oh, because I didn't remove the code which we were playing around, right? So that was, well, I don't need this, and all of those things also are not needed. That was we were playing around. So this looks much nicer, right? There's some warning. Warning is good. Warning is good. We take that, and now we can verify that we got the same things as he did, which was.
Can start the application, and there we go. So we actually connected to our database right here. You can see the logs. So we have Ikari.
So there's a
started and then completed.
So there's a Hikari things. So that is somehow. Oh, here it is. Hikari in here, and then. Oh, you know, I think I will shift Yoda to the right. Here we go. Okay. So that we have the dialect over here.
Using Postgres right here, and everything is looking good. But we don't have any tables yet in our database. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do next.
Okay.
Alright, so we've successfully connected to our database. Now what we want to do is to take this student right here and use Spring Data JPA to create a table inside of our database that we can then add, delete, and basically perform all of the CRUD operations against our database. So to do that is very straightforward with Spring Boot and Spring Data JPA. So in here, so this dependency right here that we've just uncommented gives us this ability. And if you want to learn about Spring Data JPA, go ahead
Go
and
to my
check
course,
my
of
course
course.
on Spring Data JPA, where I teach
course.
all of this. So now let me go back in here,
Okay,
and open up student class.
I will have a bathroom break, so I will be right back. I really should put the donkey in here too. Oh, and I didn't change the counter. This is 4 now. Here we go. Okay. So we can continue.
And to map this student to our database, simply type add and then entity.
Okay. So, oh come on, undo. It was student power mode. Yeah, sure, we will have a power mode. Yeah, you will know right away. Here we go. So we'll start the timer for the power mode, and now when I type here we go. Oh, come on. Okay, now this one should have primary key. Okay.
Here, and then say add, and then table. So this one is for Hibernate, and this one is for the table in our database.
Add table. Here we go. And dun.
And we also need to say add and then ID.
Okay, so this will be add ID. Here we go. Do I have to... What?
And then here we're going to generate a sequence. So sequence and then generator. And here I'm going to say name equals to, and then student and then sequence. And you'll see this in a second. We also need to have the sequence name, which will be the same, and also the allocation size. So allocation size, this will be 1, and then here this will be sequence and then name, just like that. And
okay, so sequence generator, and we will have a name equal to what it was, student sequence, sequence, right? And then this guy was sequence name, okay, and then the last allocation size. Changing word, allocation size, and this will, oh come on, and this will be 1, like so.
And now that we have a sequence generator,
okay, it still doesn't like the
going to
ID.
Now say add.
Still doesn't like the ID. Why? Should have primary key. Cannot resolve JavaX persistence. Probably. Import. It's probably from the Spring framework. I'll go with the Spring framework. This still should have primary key.
And then generated value, and then the default or the recommended for Postgres.
So generated value. Generated value
is a sequence. So I'm going to say strategy equals to, and then sequence. There we go. And the generator is the sequence that we've just created. Student underscore and then sequence. And there you have it. So literally,
how come his student does not have a problem? Mine does. So strategy, generation type, sequence, and the generator will be the student sequence. That was that, right? Yes. Sequence. Here we go.
This is everything that we have to do. So now that we've mapped this student class to a table in our database, next let's go ahead and start the application and see what is happening under the hood.
Okay, so, but he does not explain what we just did at all. How can I edit the ID attribute? Okay, so maybe I did name it differently. He has an ID. Okay, so if I do add ID attribute, name, ID, yes. Oh, it needs to have the explicit setter, huh? Okay, whatever. And it is out of the time for the power mount. So, turn the power mount off. Thank you to Cherry Jingles for sponsoring our power mode session.
And there you have it. So literally this is everything that we have to do. So now that we've mapped this student class to a table in our database, next let's go ahead and start the application and see what is happening under the hood.
Okay, so we will start start.
Right, let's go ahead and test these changes that we've done using Spring Data JPA, using these annotations at entity, at table, and then the ID with a sequence as well. So let's go ahead now and restart the application. And right here,
Okay, so rerun the application. It looks good. Okay, and here we have some create sequence students, increment 1, hibernate, create table student, age int 4. Why is there like int 8 and int 4? What is it? It might be a data type in the database, right? Oh yeah, it has to be varchar 255, also primary key ID. Okay.
let me put this a little bit bigger. So you can see that we have some logging going on, and there we go. So have a look. So in here we have some logging, and we have create sequence student starting at 1, increment 1.
Okay, so that's what we have here too. And the colors are so much nicer, right? It doesn't not have. Oh, I forgot. How come I did post? Well, whatever. It's running now. It's running. We are going there. We are at the 4 out of 5, and we are determined to do the 5 session.
So basically,
we will do so.
This sequence is this one. So sequence generator and allocation size right here. So increment at 1. So that's what it means. And then we have a create table statement.
Hold on.
That's what it means. This one, so sequence generator and allocation size.
Okay, so sequence, student sequence, okay.
Right here.
That's what it means. You are still not explaining much.
Increment at 1, so that's what it means. And then we have...
Dude, I like your voice. You're really calm, you know, like the graphics, the things. You're not explaining everything. Like he's not.
A create table statement.
It is what it is. We'll take it. It's for free, right?
Create table, and then student, and then all of these fields, and then the primary key is ID. So this ID right here. And you can see that this was super easy, right? We've just added some annotations, and now we have a table in our database. So if I collapse this, and in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect from Intellij to my database. So new data source. So I've just pressed here, database.
Okay, so you do that. Database. Oh, this minimize. And our Yoda has so plus data source. What was it?
And a new data source, and then PostgreSQL.
Postgres data source, PostgreSQL. Nothing happened. Oh, here we go. User Postgres. Don't tell anyone.
And localhost, fine. Database, this will be student.
Okay, so here's the change. Database, student. Download missing driver files. Yeah, sure, download.
Test the connection. You can see that it worked. Apply.
Okay. Oh, no. Stop. Here you go. Test the connection. Done. Okay, cool. Okay. And we have a console. That's cool. We can switch to it like that. Okay. So we got that. What about this? database. How can I close it like that? Okay, good.
And now we have one database. Inside we have the public schema, and inside we have the table right here, student, and you can see the columns, and then we have the sequence, student sequence.
Okay, so we can explore it in there. So we go to database, and here he did something which I didn't.
And now we will connect a new data source, and in PostgreSQL,
Yes.
and localhost,
Localhost.
database, this will be student. Test the connection.
I did.
You can see that it worked. Apply. Okay.
Okay.
And now we have one database.
Okay. It doesn't work. And like, what's this? Oh, okay. So now it's. What he has? He has student databases one. I don't know. All. Enter. Maybe.
Inside we have the public schema. And inside we have the table, right?
Okay, so databases, student schemas. That's what he has. Databases, student, schemas, public tables, schemas, public tables, and here is the beautiful thing, more or less. We'll shift Yoda here. Where should I put Yoda? Maybe left. Put what? Doesn't matter. So we have here are the properties. Okay, good.
Right here, student. And you can see the columns, and then we have the sequence, student sequence. So if I open up my shell, so in here, remember before when I type \d, we had no relations. Now if I type \d again, there we go. So you see that we have this table, student, and the sequence. So let me now describe the student, and you can see that we get the exact same thing in here.
Okay, so previously it was okay, so he does /d student. Okay, so we can do that too, right? And where I did it here. The student, like so. Okay, here's the same thing. ID begin, teacher date, entering. Okay, what's the same thing? Okay.
Here, so we have the index for the primary key and all of these columns. So this is pretty nice. So what we are missing now is this.
Hey teacher, what is it? What we are looking at? Teacher, this is pretty nice.
Part right here, so the data access layer. We have the database configured up and running with one table called student. Next, let's go ahead and implement this layer right here that will interact with our database. Right, so you saw the power of how we took a class and then we mapped that class.
Should do that. What does it mean?
To a table in our database. So if you want to learn more about databases and Spring Data JPA, I've got a series of courses focusing just on databases, starting from the ground up. So SQL and PostgreSQL. So those are the foundations that you should know. And then
what were you saying?
Right, so you saw the power of how we took a class and then we mapped that class to a table in our database. So
it's like weird. Like in this course, I kind of feel like I am learning something and I'm not at the same time. You know, like we created something, like one scenario, and I know how to do that one scenario, and that, which is good, nice, you know, and at the same time, like, I don't know why do I do /d, what it does in the PSQL tool. I don't know what all of those annotations means, you know. He's just saying like, write down this, and you would be like, why? And what is this? And he would say, this is nice. So that would be my criticism of this course.
If you want to learn more about databases and Spring Data JPA, I've got a series of courses focusing just on databases, starting from the ground up. So SQL and PostgreSQL. So those are the foundations that you should know. And then I'm going to take you through how to design databases, how to use ERD diagram, relationships, constraints, transactions, and all of that stuff. And then I've got the advanced database course, and that basically, you know, brings everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think after this I will go through like another. I will probably go to the official, you know, like spring.io and take it from there, you know, to have a look like the learn. Why is this not clickable? Okay, but you know, like I will go here and that will be it. Spring, make Java code ready, simple, reactive, blah blah blah.
And then the fourth course is about Spring Data JPA. So you can see that basically it's a series of courses focusing just on databases.
And at each place, you know, like these have like 1 hour and 37 minutes, right? And I feel like each 5 minutes he's selling some of his courses. And okay, I understand that hassle, but it might be too much.
And
might be too much.
If you know Spring Data JPA well enough, then you can build, you know, complex applications with complex relationships. You know, understanding, for example, indexes, unique constraints, relationships.
Oh yes,
many to one.
Yes, so it is. It is. Like in in my region, if you are a Java developer, everyone assumes that you know Spring. That's a given. You almost cannot get a job as a Java developer if you don't know Spring. And Spring, that's huge. That's huge. It's like it has so many parts. You know, yeah. It's very big. And you live in the academic world, or
basically the whole thing?
If I may ask,
in my Spring Data JPA course. So I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video so you can go and check the course for yourself. And yeah, I would love to have you there. So yeah, I just wanted to say this, and let's carry on this course.
Yeah, everyone uses it. Well, it seems to me
Let's go ahead and implement the
Java equals
Spring
Spring, basically.
So open up Intellij, and right here,
what we are doing.
This layer. So, all right.
JPA repository, okay.
The data access layer. So open up Intellij, and right here, I'm going to create a class inside of the student package.
Big corp. Ah.
And this class, I'm going to call it student.
What we are doing.
And then repository.
Student repository. Well, I go to student, then I'll switch here, generate class student repository. Here we go. Close all the bullshit.
So this is the naming convention for anything that access.
I feel bad to putting it in the bottom right corner. The Yoda. For some reason. Yeah, it feels better.
Your database, and specifically when you are working with JPA, which we are. So now this has to be an interface, and you'll see the power.
Oh fuck. Okay. Yes. Purge it. Following effect. Okay. So student repository. Just delete. Yes. And I will generate it. Class. Student repository. And it is an interface. Here we go.
Of this in a second. Enter. There we go. So we have the interface there, and let me collapse that. Now also let me press Command and then 1, just like that. Now this interface right here, I'm going to say extends, and then JPA, and then repository right there. Now you saw that this actually is using some generics, and we have to specify a couple things. So first we have to specify T, so the type of object that we want this repository to work with.
That will be the student,
and
right?
Also the ID for.
Okay, so we'll do that. Extends JPA repository. This will be student, most likely, and this will be student. Here we go. Long, I think, right?
The type that we want. So here, let's go ahead and say student.
Student.
So this is the type that we want to work with, comma, and let me put this just like that so we can see everything. And here, remember, the ID for our student, so the type is long. So if I open up student, you can see that the type is long in here. That's why this is long, and this is the type that we want this repository.
This is the first time when he explains it.
Now let's annotate this with at.
What is happening actually?
/2, but at, and then repository.
Okay, repository, okay.
So the same way that we have at service, at REST controller, this is at repository, because this interface is responsible for data access. And to be honest, this is everything for this layer. Now let's connect things using dependency injection. So in here, open up project, and we want to use this interface inside of our service. So in here, let me collapse this. So instead of having a list like this, so static list, we want to say private final and then student repository. Here we go. Then we want to add this to constructor, and then let's also annotate the constructor with add and then auto wired.
Okay. Service. Now we'll have private student repository. Yep. We won't generate the constructor for that. And well, I don't like it is like that. Something like that, and auto-wired. Okay.
Just like that. And now check this out. Instead of saying that we want to return this list, what we're going to say is, so let me actually just copy this student because I'm going to need it in a second. But now I'm going to say in here repository, or actually return, and then repository dot, and then check this out. So we have a bunch of methods here. We have find all. We can pass the sorting if you want by ID. We can save.
So it will be find all, I think. Find all. There we go.
Flash. We can count exists, find one, save all, delete all, and you can see that we have a bunch of methods. And to be fair, we haven't implemented none of this, right? And this is the magic of Spring Data JPA. So here I'm going to say find and then all. So this returns a list to us. And to be honest, this is it. So this interface that we've just implemented, so student repository, this, so if I...
Okay, our round is at the end, so this means that we are done with this round. Done is better than perfect, and we can try the perfection in the next round.